Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to Sip and Talk.
Hello to all our Sip and Talkers out there. Glad to be back.
So last time we got pretty deep into what we called the Taiwan syndrome.
We did that whole package of low wages, the super high housing prices.
The low birth rate and that feeling of, involution, just that constant internal grind.
Yeah, the civilization sickness package, as we put it. And it's something you see in a lot of advanced economies.
Exactly. Tokyo, Seoul, you name it. But as we were wrapping up, we realized we left out this massive, totally unique factor.
We missed the giant elephant in the room, the one wearing a suit.
Right.
Because this isn't just about internal problems. It's about the constant overwhelming pressure from across the Taiwan Strait. China's United Front work.
And this is the part that I think makes Taiwan's situation just fundamentally different from anywhere else.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I mean, think about it. Japan is dealing with its aging population.
South Korea has its hell Joseon hyper-competition. The U.S. is, polarized.
They're all dealing with internal wounds. But Taiwan has all of that, plus this super external difficulty.
That's a good way to put it.
It's like you're the only country that has to wake up every morning and deal with your neighbor trying to convince you to let them move into your house.
And not just move in, but change all the locks and rewrite the deed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the way they do it has gotten so much more sophisticated than just, old school military threats.
Yeah, we're not just talking about the 1990s anymore.
No. Now it's this whole integrated strategy: media, social media, business, political agents, misinformation, psychological warfare, but one-stop shop.
It's like an invisible lesion, It doesn't show up on a GDP report, but it's affecting the health of the entire society.
And that's what's so terrifying. It's not just the loud stuff, like the jets flying overhead.
No.
It's the quiet persuasion, the little voice that makes you think, hey, China seems pretty good, actually.
Life seems pretty stable over there.
Right. And before you know it, your own views, your own language, it starts to shift in ways you don't even notice.
So that's the elephant we need to talk about today on Sip and Talk. We want to really unpack how this has evolved, especially since 2020.
Yeah, why has it gotten so much more subtle, so digital? What are these, endorsement phenomena or the self-censorship that comes from being so economically tied together?
And as always, we're not here to fearmonger. We're not picking sides. We're just going to lay out the phenomena.
Because to understand Taiwan today, you have to look beyond the internal economics. You have to understand this massive external pressure that shakes everything.
So let's get into it. The untold side of Taiwan syndrome, China's pressure.
Okay, so to start, we have to be super clear about the core objective from Beijing's perspective.
Right. This isn't about a friendly merger.
No. The ultimate non-negotiable goal is the extinction of the Republic of China as a separate political entity. It's about full incorporation into the PRC system.
And the packaging for that is always one country, two systems.
Always. But, you just have to look at what's happened in Hong Kong to see that those promises are, they're hollow. They're just transitional rhetoric to calm everyone down while the change happens.
So the end game is total assimilation. Legal, political, cultural.
Everything.
Yeah.
And to get there, they use this integrated approach. We can kind of break it down into three main strategies.
Okay, let's do it. Let's start with the first one, which I think affects a lot of people's daily scrolling habits. You call it the sweet poison.
Right. This is the cultural penetration. And the battlegrounds are the platforms that young people are on all day, every day.
TikTok.
TikTok, for sure. Or Douyin, as it's called in the mainland. And this other one, Xiaohongshu.
What's that one?
It's kind of like a mix of Instagram and Pinterest. Very focused on lifestyle, fashion, travel. It's huge.
And the key here is that the content is deliberately not political.
Completely. It's mass-produced, super high-quality, depoliticized content. You're seeing these amazing food tours, stunning travel vlogs of new infrastructure, funny skits.
It all looks great. Dazzling city lights in Shanghai, cute pets.
And it's relentless. And the effect is, it's very calculated. It builds this sense of affinity, even longing among young Taiwanese.
The unspoken message is, hey, look how great life is here.
Yeah.
We're not so different, you and I. Why are we even fighting?
Exactly. And if you're a young person in Taipei struggling with that Taiwan syndrome we talk about, stagnant salary, you'll never own a home.
You look at these videos and the political stuff starts to feel less important.
It just smooths over the sharp edges of the political reality. It makes you think, well, if the system can produce all this amazing stuff, maybe the stories I hear about it being so bad are exaggerated.
It just lowers that psychological barrier to the idea of unification.
But I have to push back a little on this. I mean, if the food videos are just genuinely good, if the travel vlogs are beautiful, how do you even compete with that? If you try to resist it, don't you just look like you're resisting culture itself?
That is the absolute core of the problem, and that's why we call it sweet poison.
You can't just ban it.
You can't win by banning culture. You have to build immunity, which we'll get to later. The thing is, this isn't just a natural cultural exchange. The scale of this content production, it's often state-supported. It's designed to overwhelm a smaller media market like Taiwan's.
So it's weaponized cultural output.
To achieve a political goal, which is to erode Taiwan's unique identity and lower that will to resist.
Okay, so that's the sweet part. What about the flip side? Part B, you call it cognitive warfare, or the disruption.
Right. So if the cultural stuff is about generating affinity and love, this part is about generating hate and despair for your own side.
This is pure internal destruction. It works through, content farms, bot networks, and it really exploits anonymous online forums.
Like PTT in Taiwan, which is this huge, very influential and often anonymous online forum.
And the content is just negativity, cynicism,
Please.
Very specific, often completely fake news stories.
Aimed at what?
At Taiwan's democratic institutions. Stories about corruption in the military, incompetent politicians, blowing policy failures way out of proportion.
The truth doesn't really matter.
It's secondary. The goal is the impact on morale. The main strategy is to spread this deep pessimism about Taiwan's ability to defend itself or its economy.
So they don't have to convince you that China is great.
No. They just have to convince you that Taiwan is failing, that it's rotten to the core and not even worth defending.
And that just creates this social exhaustion. If you're constantly told your democracy is a joke, your leaders are corrupt, your military is a mess, you just feel hopeless.
Why would you fight for a status quo that seems so broken it makes resistance feel completely futile?
And then the third piece of this puzzle, the golden handcuffs, the economic lever.
Yeah, and this ties right back into that economic anxiety we started with. The method here is really targeted. They have these benefit Taiwan policies.
So specific perks.
Exactly. Preferential treatment for Taiwanese businesses, for artists, students, and especially for young, talented people. They offer subsidies, less red tape, and often much higher salaries than you can get in Taiwan's market.
That's a powerful lure. If you're a recent grad in Taipei making, what, $1,200 a month, and Shanghai offers you 3,000 plus perks.
It's incredibly hard to say no. And the effect is a systematic brain drain. It pulls the very talent and capital that Taiwan needs to grow its own economy into the mainland's orbit.
It's not just about a few people getting good jobs. It creates this deep structural dependency.
Right. And once you have enough of Taiwan's top companies and top talent tied into that system, Beijing has enormous leverage.
It's like a hostage situation.
It really is. If there's a political disagreement, they can threaten to pull the plug. They can cripple a company overnight.
So it makes the threat very personal. It's not abstract politics anymore. It's your livelihood. It's the stock market.
So you have the full picture. Use culture to build love, use information warfare to create self-doubt, and use money to create dependency. That is the full spectrum pressure.
Wow. Okay, so now we have to translate this. What does unification actually mean for the person on the street? What's the real day-to-day cost?
This is where it gets really, really interesting. Because the loss isn't just some abstract political idea. It fundamentally changes how you live your life.
The single biggest loss has to be just. The freedom and dignity of being a self-governing people. A permanent downgrade of your rights as an individual.
Let's start with the most obvious one. A, the end of free speech. For people in Taiwan who are used to one of the most freewheeling, chaotic, open media environments in all of Asia, the shock would be immense.
Right. Right now, you can go on Facebook or PTT and just trash the president. You can say whatever you want about any politician.
You can organize a protest because they're tearing down a local park. You can literally start a political party. Tomorrow, all of that is gone.
Your speech is suddenly under intense monitoring. That sarcastic meme you shared about a government policy.
That could now be classified as incitement to subvert state power, or picking quarrels and provoking trouble.
These are real legal charges they use.
Oh yeah. They are deliberately vague, so they can be used to shut down any form of dissent. And this creates a massive chilling effect. Everyone starts to self-censor.
If you run a small business, you'd be terrified that some post you made 5 years ago could be dug up to ruin you.
And it's not just politics, it's culture. Every book, every movie, every news report has to align with the official party narrative. If it doesn't fit their view of a harmonious society, it just disappears.
Okay, so that's speech. What about B, the actual mechanics of democracy? Voting.
Gone. The right to vote for your national leaders is gone completely.
The top jobs would just be appointed by Beijing.
Right. And any local elections that might continue would be a complete sham. A rubber stamp exercise where all the candidates are pre-vetted for loyalty.
So the future of Taiwan, its budget, its schools, its foreign policy, is decided by a government in Beijing that you had zero say in electing.
You lose all accountability, you can't recall officials, you can't organize an opposition, you basically go from being a citizen to being a resident.
And then there's C, the international side of things. Taiwan's identity on the world stage.
That fight just ends abruptly. Taiwan loses all of its international legal status.
So no participation in the UN, the World Health Organization, nothing. Total diplomatic erasure.
And that has real-world consequences beyond just dignity. It affects your passport, trade deals, security.
Even in sports. Right now, athletes compete as Chinese Taipei, but everyone kind of knows the deal.
After this, they would just be regional representatives of the PRC. That's it. The end of a distinct identity on the global stage.
And lastly, D, the economic and property risks. This is the part that counters the whole unification will make you rich argument.
It's a huge delusion, because in the PRC system, the party is above the law. That means your private property, your business.
Okay.
It's never truly safe.
They can just take it.
Under the guise of national security, absolutely, we've seen it happen. Successful entrepreneurs, even billionaires, can just disappear if they cross some invisible political red line.
So the law stops being a shield for the individual.
It becomes a weapon for the regime. Your bank account, your property deeds, your business license, it's all conditional on your loyalty and your silence. The fundamental trust that protects your assets is just shattered.
So given all that, how are young people in Taiwan actually processing this? Are they buying into the sweet poison?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And the mood is, well, it's complicated. It's not like they're all just marching towards unification.
No, the general population is still pretty wary.
Very wary. But what the data shows is a subtle shift. It's not a shift towards China, but more a shift away from active resistance. It's a kind of exhaustion.
Okay, so you've looked at some of the polling data from 2025. What does it tell us?
There's a key survey from the Taiwan Public Opinion Foundation. It found support for formal Taiwan independence at about 44%.
So still the biggest single group.
By far. But that number was down about 7.5 points from the year before.
And what about support for unification?
Still tiny.
Yeah.
Stuck down at around 14%.
Yeah.
So people aren't suddenly becoming pro-unification. They're just less committed to the independence path.
And the interesting part is who is driving that shift.
Exactly. The drop was most significant in the 20 to 34 age group.
The young people.
Yeah. And the analysts say it's because of that Taiwan syndrome we keep coming back to.
Yeah.
The low wages, the housing crisis. It creates this intense political fatigue.
That apathy, the feeling of, it doesn't matter anyway, that's the real win for cognitive warfare.
It is. If you're working crazy hours just to get by, and you're constantly fed negative news about your own country, the idea of some external force bringing stability and wealth, it starts to sound tempting. Not because you love it, but because you want an escape from the daily grind.
But then you have this other data point that seems to contradict that.
Right. The Mainland Affairs Council poll from August 2025, it showed a huge number, like 74% agree that the ROC and the PRC are not subordinate to each other.
So they still see themselves as sovereign.
Deep down, yes. The core identity is strong. So how do you square that? High belief in sovereignty, but declining commitment to formal independence and a real aversion to conflict.
What's that tell you?
It tells me the psychological operation is working. Young people believe they're sovereign, but they've been demoralized into thinking that the cost of defending that sovereignty is just too high.
Or that their own government is too incompetent to manage it. They're autonomous in their heads, but defeatist in their outlook.
And there's another survey showing something like 55 to 60% of the 20 to 29 age group were unwilling to fight or send family to war. That's a direct result of campaigns that weaponize fear and economic anxiety.
So the conclusion isn't that young Taiwanese are pro-China. They're just tired and filtered.
Exactly. That apathy is the invisible victory for the United Front strategy.
Which brings us to the really important part. How do you build immunity to this? How do you navigate this as a listener, as a consumer of information?
First thing is just disciplined media literacy. Cross-verification.
Don't take anything at face value.
especially not extreme, emotional, anonymous messages you see online. Whether it's pro-unification or super anti-government, you have to deliberately check it against independent, reliable news sources.
Okay, that's one. What's two?
This one is crucial. You have to separate consumption from values. It is perfectly fine to enjoy cultural content from the mainland.
The food videos, the TV shows.
All of it. But you have to consciously draw a line between enjoying the culture and endorsing the political system. A beautiful drone shot of a city doesn't mean its government respects human rights.
You have to build that mental firewall.
And the third thing is maybe the hardest. You have to consciously value democracy. You have to recognize that the freedom Taiwan has today isn't some default setting.
It's not a given.
No, it's a fragile political achievement that could be lost.
Yeah.
So active resistance is just participation, voting, engaging in rational debate. Even criticizing your own government is a sign that this system works and is worth preserving.
You refuse the induced tiredness by staying engaged.
So before we talk about what post-unification Taiwan would look like, we need to stress one thing.
What's that?
The problems we're about to describe. They aren't bugs in the system. They are features. It is a systemic design where central power is absolute.
The idea of stability maintenance is baked into their constitution. National security trumps everything. Individual rights, due process, all of it.
Right. And we can look at 3 real-world case studies from 2025 that show what this operating system looks like in practice.
Okay, case 1.
Xinjiang. I know for some people this feels like a distant issue, but it shows the absolute maximum capacity of state control. The UN itself said the actions there could be crimes against humanity.
And what's the lesson for Taiwan there?
It's the mechanism of control. You could be detained not for a crime you committed, but for who you are, for growing a certain kind of beard, or practicing a certain religion, or even just calling a relative overseas. It's preemptive control based on cultural profiling.
Wow. Okay, case 2.
The social credit system. China has over 600 million surveillance cameras. That's almost 1 for every 2 people. This, combined with facial recognition and the score, creates a total digital cage.
And the idea that I'll just stay out of politics doesn't work here.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Your score is affected by everything: running a red light, playing too many video games, even not visiting your parents enough.
And a low score has real consequences.
Catastrophic ones. It affects your ability to travel, get a loan, get your kids into a good school. The system doesn't just punish dissent. It demands enthusiastic conformity.
Okay, and case 3, which is probably the most direct blueprint, Hong Kong.
5 years after the national security law, the picture is crystal clear. International reports show that about 80% of the prosecutions under that law are for pure speech.
Singing a song, holding up a blank piece of paper.
Exactly. And look at the 35-plus primary case. Pro-democracy figures still in detention in 2025, some for over 4 years without trial. Why? For trying to organize a primary election.
The law is just a political weapon.
A very effective one. And it reaches everywhere. Libraries are censoring books. And the new Article 23 law lets them pursue activists overseas.
So let's use these facts. Let's paint a detailed picture of the new normal for Taiwan if this happens.
First, the demographic and economic shock. Let's call it Hong Kongization.
Taiwan has 23 million people and already has a housing crisis.
China has 1.4 billion. Even if a tiny fraction of 1%, say 7 million wealthy, connected people, decide to move to Taiwan.
It's a tidal wave. It would completely overwhelm the society.
And the housing market would just break. Property prices would have nothing to do with local salaries anymore. They'd be determined by the excess capital of a superpower.
So for a young Taiwanese person, owning a home goes from being a struggle to being a complete fantasy.
We see the data from Hong Kong in 2025. Buyers with Mandarin pinyin names made up almost a quarter of luxury property sales, 1 in 4. It's a systemic demographic replacement.
The local population gets priced out and professionally squeezed out.
Next, cultural extinction. Simplified Chinese characters would quickly become dominant.
Not because they'd ban the traditional characters necessarily.
No, but they'd be marginalized. For your career, for official documents, for school, you'd be forced to switch. And Taiwan's unique linguistic heritage would just decay.
And the media becomes a monoculture. All red content, all CCP narratives.
And think about the history books. They'd be rewritten overnight. The entire democratic history of Taiwan would be reframed as local turmoil that needed to be corrected. The collective memory is erased.
And finally, the breakdown of society itself, the loss of trust.
This is maybe the most poisonous part. When surveillance is everywhere, when voting is meaningless and the courts aren't independent, social trust collapses.
You become suspicious of your neighbors. You're afraid to spit your mind.
And that's how civil society dies. Which brings us to the final choice here. The way this is framed is often a lie.
It's not a choice between a richer economy and a poorer one.
No. It's a choice between the freedom to reform while retaining sovereignty, the right to fix your own problems, versus the fantasy of wealth under totalitarian rule.
The real pain, the thing that Hong Kongers are feeling right now, is that sense of losing the feeling that this city belongs to us.
You lose the right to decide your own future. And no amount of money can buy that back.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, this whole super external difficulty.
I think the biggest takeaway, especially for anyone listening who scrolls through this kind of content every day, is you have to maintain a critical distance.
You can enjoy the culture.
Absolutely. Enjoy the food, watch the shows, that's all fine. But you have to consciously and actively separate that enjoyment of culture from an endorsement of the political system.
That separation is your armor. And maybe the next time you're scrolling and you see one of those amazing travel vlogs or a job ad for a great opportunity in a mainland city.
Just pause for a second.
And ask yourself one question. Am I willing to trade the right to truly, freely, and without consequence criticize the government for that opportunity?
Because that's the one thing you can only trade away once. You can't negotiate to get it back. That loss is permanent. It is total.
This has been a really crucial conversation. We're grateful you joined us for this look at the pressures shaping Taiwan's future. We really do try to stay objective and just present the facts for you to think about.
Thank you so much for listening and engaging with such a complex topic. We hope this helps you understand the forces at play.
And before we go, please remember to subscribe to Sip and Talk wherever you get your podcasts.
And hey, do us a favor and check out our good friend Micky's YouTube channel, Micky to Life. He's got some really fun travel vlogs up.
We'll see you next time.